Aloha, everyone. Today, let's talk about choices. Have you ever made a split decision choice and it changed everything? Well, today I'm going to talk about one of those stories. I have to admit, it really compels me to do what I do each day, talking to you each day, because it is about the choices we make in our lives. This one ended in tragedy. What's the story about? I pass a site every day where an accident happened. A young man, 17 years old, somehow ended up in a stolen vehicle. For some strange reason, a young lady, don't even know how well they knew each other, but she joined him in that stolen vehicle. She was 20. Her name was Kula. His name was Diaz. What happened next, they were at the upper end of a street that I bicycle every day. They saw a policeman. So, first choice, they're in a stolen vehicle. Second choice, they see the policeman, they panic. Another choice, they weren't wearing seatbelts. Diaz was driving and he sped down the road way too fast. Ended up losing control at a very slight bend in the road and plowed into another car with a woman about my age, hit her head on, almost killed her. She still has horrible damage from that, was medevaced. Flipped the vehicle and landed on the embankment. Because both weren't wearing seatbelts, both died. I'm not sure how instantly. Unbelievable. The families put up monuments along the side of the road. I pass it every day on my bike ride. It reminds me that at any point in time, I don't think they woke up saying, I'm going to die today. In fact, the opposite. They wanted to live life. A year later, I learned Kula had a 9-month-old baby when she died. Her parents were unable to care for the child, so they had to put it up for adoption. Now think about how many lives were impacted by those choices. Why this matters is not only for saving lives, which I am absolutely committed to. I share this story with the images to the young people whenever I get a chance with that age group. The choices sometimes we don't think they're making a difference or making any kind of impact that's going to affect our future, but they are so wrong. What's interesting is that they've assessed that we make 35,000 decisions a day. Now, of course, what does that look like? It's like me pushing the button to start this live video, something like that. About 95% of them are subconscious kind of things we do. Our bodies do, because we control our bodies, some of us better than others, and make choices throughout the day. But it also has been discovered that if you spend your morning making a lot of hard choices, you can have fatigue, decision-making fatigue called choice overload. Certainly, we don't want to have that. The truth is, when life gets stressful, when we're under pressure, that's when it matters most to choose wisely. Now, during the day, you can come up with habits. It's not bad to have habits. It's just bad if those things are not what you want in the end, and you just do it because you do it. If someone says an unkind word, and you jump to a conclusion that it's all about you, rarely is, then you choose to do an unkind word back. That's a choice. You don't have to do that. At a minimum, I want you to think about something where we pause. Whenever something comes up that could really make a difference, is that we pause and we breathe. When stress hits, it stops our automatic reactions because our body wants to automatically deal with it. I've got to deal with this now. You've heard that before, yes? That's one tool, is just pausing and breathing. Another tool, I want you to go back to my earlier presentations where we talked about the iceberg, where you have the visible and then you have what I call the discoverable. It's not that it doesn't exist, it exists. It's just we may not have the tools or the time or whatever to determine what else is behind it. You don't want to be the Titanic, see the tip and it plowed into it. How well designed was that ship? They thought it was unsinkable. Not everybody has challenges. So before I tell any more stories, I'd like to leave you with an acronym. It will help you when you feel overwhelmed. You can use it as a guide. Of course, it's choices is the acronym today. What do you think the C is? Challenge, assumptions. Ask yourself, what am I assuming here? I can't tell you how many times if someone didn't call me or didn't connect with me or didn't smile at me that I'm automatically thinking the worst, right? I've had to work myself out of this and just order myself and tell myself, no, no, something's going on, not to worry. And sure enough, 99.99% of the time, that's exactly what's happening. There's something else going on that I don't know below that surface, that iceberg. Challenge assumptions, that's the C. H is hold space to pause and reflect. That's the pausing. Slow down before you act. How many of us are out of breath? We're racing around. When I have a conscious understanding that's happening to me, that's the time when I kind of go, it's like that movie in slow motion. I try to slow myself down. I have to take that breath. I have to slow everything down because something's pushing me in a direction that I probably don't want to go, and I'm going to react. H, hold space to pause and reflect. The O is opportunities and outcomes emerge when you pause, you stop and you ask yourself those things. What am I assuming? You want to allow these opportunities to emerge and possible outcomes that can emerge. You may see new possibilities of the same situation. I one time had a boss, he was ready to yell at me for wanting to do something different than what he had planned. He just wanted to see how far I would go. I held firm that I said, this is important to me. He said, well, I've never done that before. I said a terrible reactionary one. I said, well, sir, I guess we have different priorities. He didn't get upset with me. He was actually quite a wonderful leader, General Sin. He said, he paused, he reflected, he came out with another option. He turned toward me and he said, I know what I'll do with you. Go ahead, you do what you want to do. You wouldn't know that if you didn't wait for those opportunities and possible outcomes. The I is identify what matters most. Prioritize what you value and what's the impact of your decision. You definitely want to identify what matters most. For example, with family members. Could I get upset if my mom says something for the 10th time? Absolutely. That's what my dad used to do. He didn't really get that it wasn't her fault that my mom's dementia caused her to say things over and over. What matters most is to make sure my mom feels loved and supported. I can say something different. I can move her to another topic. I can do all kinds of things, those opportunities and outcomes, instead of getting frustrated and bark at her. Now, I will tell you, there are times that she pushes me. I'll get a little more strident. But I work very hard to do that, only rarely, because I know as soon as I do, she feels that energy and she gets upset. My mother is not the only person. What's the second C in choices? It's connect to your purpose. Connect to your purpose. Anchor your choices to why you're here. What do you care about? It ties in with all the other ones. You want to connect to your purpose. Keep reminding yourself, understand your role, understand your priorities, understand your options, and what are the impacts of those. E is engage your best self. I talk about this an awful lot. When we're at our best, we are a delight to be around. So much happens for our benefit. Bring your integrity, bring your courage, bring that compassion you have for others. Bring it to the moment when you need it, under stress, and making those choices, whether intentional or catching yourself, maybe subconscious ones, that you need to break that cycle. Finally, the S, step forward with courage. Go ahead and make the choice and own it. I rock the boat with people when I tell them I want them to learn how to handle more stress because life's not getting easier. Why wouldn't they want to? Sometimes that doesn't get across very easily or well with an audience who has been trained forever to just de-stress and that stress is some kind of disease. No, no, it's key to your success and why I work so hard to inform people what are their options. Are you making good decisions? Are you making good ones or a lot of them? What do your choices say about you each and every day? Because guess what? People are watching you. You may not think of yourself as a leader, but people are watching you as a leader. Another story that comes to mind is before I went to combat, I took anti-terrorism driving course. This was in case we were potentially kidnapped or whatever. What does it look like? You're on this track going 90 plus miles an hour, sometimes on two wheels as you're making turns. It was very, very important to understand the dynamics of a vehicle that goes very fast. We were doing J turns, which is going backwards and pulling yourself out of a situation and turning a certain way. The one I want to talk about is that whether it's on ice or just going so fast you're going to skid, anyone who drives, I know you push it to the limit at least once in your life, maybe more. But when you're skidding, what's the natural reaction? Let's say there's a pole there, is to look at the pole. What happens when you look at the pole when you're skidding toward a pole? Chances are you're going to hit it. You won't like the outcome. What they trained us to do is to look toward where we want to go. Where is it that we want to go? Most of the time you're going to get there because you act very differently. See, I had to catch myself. You act very differently when you're doing that with intent. You steer toward where you want to go. That's our choices. Another time was when I took on a new job as a district commander, and something happened which caused one of our congressional leaders to get very, very upset. He called me. This was before cell phones. Can you remember that day? Before cell phones, all I had was a pager. I was calling back. I had to hold the phone away from me because he was yelling so hard. That was his choice. His choice was, I don't like something, I'm going to scream and yell at you. He says, your project's 1 year overdue, and you, da, 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 and he just kept going on and on and on. He gave me his solution that I needed to put people 24/7 on the project. I said, sir, I'm new here, but you think that's the answer? Then he went, boom, boom, boom. Well, I wouldn't presume to do your job. Well, thank you, sir. I just came from the Pentagon where I recrafted the way we write information papers. I promise you I will pull the information, find out everything I know, and put it in a document to hand to you. And then if you still have questions, please let me know and we will work on it. So I went to my office. People heard about it. So I had about 8 people come to my door. Some of you may be auditory learners and can remember what people say, but I am not that. I have to look at it written down as well. I can hear it, but I have to see it in writing. They came in and they were all telling me a different part of the story. I'm like, whoa. Then I said, okay, let's write an information paper. Everybody said their word. The most knowledgeable person I kept in my office, I typed and wrote out an information paper. Now, it took a week to massage it, but I had buy-in from everybody who was involved in it. And come to find out, well, you're not going to plant in the winter because they'll all die. So you can't plant, can't finish that part of the project. Ooh, we found contaminants. I think it was asbestos. You couldn't finish that part. It had to be remediated. Part of the project, a state project, interfered with our project, so we couldn't finish ours until the state finished their project. And my list goes on. Oh, and the big one, the people of his town had decided they wanted for Molly Ann's Brook to have more land, which meant we'd have to cut in deeper. What was happening is that a local zinc mine contaminants were getting into this creek. Every time it rained, it would go into their basements, this awful stuff. We were deepening it to make it better. His people decided, you know what? We're not willing to accept this much loss of land. We want it this much more. Guess how long that delay was in redoing the design? You got it, 1 year. So once I laid all this out and I left it in draft form, there's 5 parts to an information paper, but by the time I was done, I put it together and I sent it to him. I did not hear another word. If you are willing to pause enough, or you create the space like I had to there, you can help people make better choices. And that's exactly what you want to do. Today, I hope you will remember we all have free will. We can make better choices when we give us that time. Please share this video with anyone you think might benefit, to be reminded of the power to choose, that so and so didn't make them do anything. They chose to do it. They have free will. If you like more tools, go to my Stress Intelligence channel on YouTube. I'd love to see you there. Be a subscriber and share this video widely so that together we can lift others higher. Thanks for being here. Aloha.